I'll be honest, I didn't expect to announce in this video that we've spent £255 million in January on 2 players. How are we doing, everybody, and welcome to part 12 of this Chelsea save here on Football Manager 2023. I'm Stu. Thank you for joining me in today's video, where we're going to be playing against Inter Milan in the second leg of the round of 16 Champions League tie that we have coming up. We've already played the first leg, remember. This is leg number 2, and we'll talk about the results of the first leg in a moment. And then, well, assuming we get through, we'll play the quarter-final second leg. But that depends on whether we get through. If we don't get through, then we'll work that out. But if you're excited to see how we do in the Champions League and hopefully excited to see us progress in the Champions League, please do leave a like on the video for me and subscribe so you never miss any of the Football Manager content that's to come in the future on the channel from this face right here. Since you're last with us, everything has been rosy. Before we get into any form or anything like that, I've got to talk about those transfers. We did spend a lot of money in January. I didn't expect it. Now, the main reason we spent a lot of money was because of this. Feel like people might be a bit angry at this. Kai Havertz has left the club. The reason why he has left the club is nothing to do with any form or any fallings out or anything like that. Paris Saint-Germain came in with an offer. He kicked off when I rejected the offer. I then had to agree that we're going to win the Champions League in the next 2 seasons. So we did agree to that. But Paris Saint-Germain then came in with another offer. And I counter-offered with a ridiculous amount, quite frankly. That ridiculous amount being £160 million. Paris Saint-Germain went for it. I think it was 120 up front and 40 million on instalments. So I guaranteed 160 million. And they just accepted it. Bearing in mind, Chelsea bought Kai Havertz for 74 million pounds. We've more than doubled our money on him, which is exceptional. And he's done really well for them so far. 4 goals in 5 league appearances. I don't know where they're playing him. I don't know whether we can see any of that information. We can't, unfortunately. So I'd be interested to know where they're playing him. With that kind of goal return, I'd expect they're probably playing him as a striker, which is something we obviously didn't do. We preferred to play him as a central midfielder, as a Mezzala, but he did do a very good job there for us. And to be fair, he did have a good season for us. If we have a look at the season he had, 5 goals, 5 assists, 3 player of the matches in 19 appearances. Perhaps not the best season he's ever had for us, and he was in and out of the team a little bit due to form, but he still did all right for us. You know, he got over a 7 in all the competitions he played for us. So thank you, Kai. Thank you very much. But that has meant we can go and spend a lot of money. And that money was spent on 2 players who I'm very interested in. There are a few other sales we'll talk about in a minute, but the first player we signed was Charles De Ketelaere. And I apologise if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce it. I know he was called Prince Charles when he was coming up in, I think it was Club Brugge. Yes, it was Club Brugge. I think it was called Prince Charles, and it was like, when's he going to become King Charles? Well, hopefully that's with us. 23-year-old Belgian, 22 caps for the Belgian national team, 10 goals in 49 appearances for Milan. We've brought him in basically because I really wanted to use him. I mean, some of the stats here are phenomenal. There's a lot of green in here, which I really like to see. We did spend a lot of money on him, though. £135 million, potentially up to the amount of money we paid. So we got for Kai Havertz. I don't necessarily know whether he's worth that, if I'm honest. So far in the league, he's also not performed very well. But actually, in the last few games, he's started to come good, started to look good. Now, we are training him to be a Mezzala. He is, by standard, more of an attacking midfielder or a striker. Now, that will come into play in a moment when I tell you about what we're doing tactically. But we are still using him predominantly as a Mezzala, and he's starting to come good, but it has taken a little while to do that. But he is looking like a decent player. I mean, we've overpaid on him. I'll absolutely say that. For a player who we're not even using the proper position for, we've definitely overpaid. But he'll be absolutely fine. But then we did still have some money left over, and we actually raised some money as well, because we signed him as a direct replacement for Kai Havertz. But then we kind of looked and thought we do still need another player who can play as a Mezzala, maybe play as a box-to-box as well. And you probably already saw who that player was. Yeah, we signed Jude Bellingham. Had a release clause. It just felt like the thing to do. Brought him in, 20 years old, 31 caps for England already, 6 goals scored. He was phenomenal for Borussia Dortmund, and we've brought him in to predominantly play either as a box-to-box or a Mezzala, and he can do both of those jobs really well. If anything, he's a better box-to-box, a better Mezzala. He's actually a better ball-winning midfielder, and he can play as a defensive midfielder as well, which I didn't expect. I figured he'd be more of an attacking midfielder, but so far for us, he has been superb. The ideal midfield partnership, if we ever go to a 2-man midfield, again, I'll talk about this in a moment, of Koopmeiners and Bellingham. Oh my word. Koopmeiners and Mount has been superb for us when we've needed it. Koopmeiners and Kante as well. But Bellingham and Koopmeiners, oh my word, what a partnership that potentially has to be. He's been okay so far. We've been kind of breaking him into the team gently. Only 3 starts in the Premier League for us. We did sign him very late on. I can't actually remember exactly when we... Was it deadline? It wasn't deadline day, was it? Actually, no, it was a little bit further into the window than I thought. So they're the 2 big signings that we made in January. We did also have to sell a few players as well in order to make those players. So you'll probably see a few on here that are a little bit surprising. So we let go... Where is he? Wu Yongjong to Barcelona for 37.5 million. We actually made a profit on him, which is definitely good because the club wants us to make profit on players that we sell. He's probably the only one we did. We sold him for 37.5 million. We sold Eric Garcia for 23 million to Atletico Madrid as well. So we did make a huge loss on him because we weren't using him really. He made a couple of appearances. He did well as a backup right back. I will give him that. And I'm starting to wish that we kept him around. But we moved him on, raised some funds there. We also got Koulibaly off the wage bill. Newcastle paying £1 million as a fee in total for him, which is ridiculous. Casadi went on loan as well to get some experience at Fiorentina. And then we also moved Hudson-Odoi on there. This is a weird one. £1 million. Seems like a ridiculous fee. And then we also sold youngster Levi Colwill for £3 million. The reason why we were selling those guys is because there is a player I was trying to bring in. And it was this guy, Giorgio Scalvini. We were going to bring this guy in on deadline day, but we were struggling to come up with the funds. It was about £35 million we needed to come up with. So that's why we let Hudson-Odoi go. That's why we let the youngster go as well. But a lot of those transfers went through literally with an hour to go on deadline day. We had a deal ready with this guy, and it fell through because we didn't have the funds to put it through. What annoyed me was I could not change the budget to put more transfer budget in than wage budget, and I feel like that would have worked. I feel like we would have scammed the system a little bit, but we just couldn't get it going, and in the end we missed out on him. I don't think it's the end of the world because we've actually got 4 defenders. I'll talk about the defensive situation in a moment, but I would thought this guy would have strengthened things. But as a result of all of that, our squad is looking like this. Now, we did let Koulibaly go, who was one of our 4 defenders, and we also let Eric Garcia go. But we did sign this guy in the summer, Diego Coppola, Italian defender. We signed him from Verona. He looks like he's going to be an absolute superstar. He is a wonder kid. He's played a bunch of games for us as well. I say a bunch. He's played a few games for us since we let Koulibaly go. And he hasn't looked out of place. The only thing that concerns me is he's our 3rd defender who prefers to play on the right. So that is the one negative. But he's looked all right when he's gone in. He's not looked out of his depth. He's been pretty solid for us. I'm really happy with how he's done. He'll do as a backup defender. Not having a nice, young, talented, potential superstar in there for us is very good. But it does mean we've trimmed the squad down. Use your words, Stu. We've trimmed the squad down to 24 players, including the likes of Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who we did try and loan out. We did also loan out Trevor Chalobah. He was complaining about game time as well. But that's the squad. Now, I have to say, if we have a look at the results that we've had recently, we've been doing pretty well. We did have a bit of a sticky patch here in February, where we had a couple of draws, a very narrow win against Millwall, which was a bit disappointing, and then we lost against Manchester City 4-3. The drama in this game was absolutely insane. We were getting absolutely battered by them at points. Mason Mount giving us hope in the 75th minute. What we've ended up having to do a lot of the time, and we did it against Inter, and we did it from the start, and it worked pretty well, is we've been using a different formation, a 4-4-2 diamonds, but not a traditional 4-4-2 diamonds. We've been using this. If we've ever gone behind in a game, actually we've been using this at a time. So there's 2 different formations we've been using actually. This is one of them. This is the more attacking version, but we've also been using this 4-4-2 diamonds with wing backs. Now I have used this before, not on the regular though. And I will say, I don't know whether this is a formation I would want to use on the regular, but actually when you look at that 11, it's the 11 we'd use in the 4-3-3. It's just rearranging the front line and pushing the fullbacks up. When we've gone behind in games, this has saved us. Notably, in the Carabao Cup final that we won. Look at that. We were 2-0 down after 65 minutes. And I was thinking it's last season all over again. We switch formations. We go to the diamonds. If I hover over it, you can see. I don't know what the 4-3-3 with the wide is. I'm not 100% sure on that. But we went to the 4-4-2 diamonds after 49 minutes. Yes, we conceded a goal. We then scored 2 goals. Bellingham and Leonardo getting us back into the game, and we ended up winning on penalties. So we did win the Carabao Cup final. We've won some silverware. That's awesome. But a lot of the games where we've gone behind, we've ended up pulling that formation out. As you can see, we didn't need it against Middlesbrough. Everton, I don't think we needed it against either. We did pretty well against Everton, actually. But there's a few games where we did do it. Now, we did use it away from home against Inter. Well, we used it a normal 4-4-2 diamond, actually. We didn't have the advanced win-backs. It did work for us. So, today, I mean, and also look at the results. The results have been great. Today, I don't necessarily know whether to use this formation or not. I'm tempted to, because we are at home. We know it works for us. I don't really know why Koopmeiners is playing as a playmaker. We should be a halfback. I don't know whether necessarily we go with this or not, or whether we stick to what we know, which is the standard formation that we've been using, the 4-3-3. I don't really know what I want to do. I kind of want to use this because I feel like it's more defensively stable, but also this just feels a bit more dynamic. The fullbacks get forward a bit more. The defence is fine. We're not playing narrowly. We're playing widely. So, actually, Koopmeiners drops back into here, does a good job. These guys are staying out wide. The midfielders are giving a decent amount of space to get in here into the space. And we've got the attacking midfielder there. The only problem with it is Marco Asensio doesn't perform very well. So, I'm not 100% sure whether we go with this or not. I think to begin with, we'll do what I have been doing. We'll stick with the normal formation. We'll stick with the 4-3-3. And then if we need to, we can go to that modified diamond. Even if we go to this weird, like, I don't even know what to call this. It's like a 2-3-1-4 or a 4-1-1-2-2. I prefer my 2-3-1-4 personally. Or a 2-3-3-2. I'm talking a lot about this. Your 11 for the game against Inter Milan is as follows. It's Mendy in goal, James, Milenkovic, Bastoni and Chilwell in defence, Koopmeiners, De Ketelaere and Mount in the midfield with Asensio, Memphis Depay and Lukaku up front. We are missing Jude Bellingham. He has picked up an injury, which is a bit frustrating. He's out for up to 12 days with pulled knee ligaments. Get that right, Stu. But hopefully we won't need him. Hopefully we've got enough players in the squad that can get the job done for us. So we'll start off with the 4-3-3. We might move to that modified diamond. We might move to that weird messy formation that's worked for us a few times as well. But we'll see what happens. One thing to note as well, you might not see, depending on how long this series goes on for, because it will depend on whether we get to Champions League final or not, you might not see Di Lorenzo very often. He picked up 2 red cards this season, and they've both been at the beginnings of games. And in the nicest possible way, I've kind of got to the point where I don't trust him anymore. And if I don't trust a player, I don't really want to use them. Now, the only issue is we don't have the depth that we had at the start of the season where we can bring players in because we've tried to trim everything down. That does leave us with a bit of an issue. We do have Milenkovic who can play there. So it's not the end of the world if we do have to change things around. Koopmeiners as well, he can play as a central defender. He's done that a few times. So, yeah, if we need to use him, we'll give him a go. But I don't think he's a player to use in the high-pressure games because it does feel like he has a habit of letting us down. But let's see how we do in this game, shall we? We lead 2-1 from the first leg. I don't feel like I've talked about that enough. We lead 2-1 from the first leg. And again, we did use the diamonds to get that result. So I'm interested to see how we do against Inter with the 4-3-3. I'm not sure whether we'll do very well. We might do. We might not. We'll find out. De Ketelaere crosses it in. Lukaku is there. And it's Belgian to Belgian. And it's 1-0. It is the former AC Milan player crossing to the former Inter Milan player. And we lead by a goal to in the first 5 minutes. And that's what I meant. De Ketelaere, we spent a lot of money on him. A lot of money. More than I probably would have liked to spend. But in the last few games, he really has started to come good. Lukaku, by the way, unless anything's changed recently, second top goal scorer in the Premier League, which, because Erling Haaland's there, means he is effectively the top goal scorer in the Premier League. I don't count any kind of scoring record that Erling Haaland is in because he is a freak of nature. Lukaku now trying to lead a counter-attack, gets to Marco Asensio. Asensio looking for options. He's going to just run down that right-hand wing until something comes up for him. But he loses the ball to Martin Gosens, which is not ideal. And the highlight ends. But we still lead, which is absolutely glorious. Absolutely glorious. Also, De Ketelaere, a lot of his best performances at the moment have come in cup competitions. He's not really turned it on in the Premier League so far, so I am hoping that that does happen relatively soon. We've given the ball away there. That's unacceptable. Lautaro Martinez intercepted by Koopmeiners. I don't know whether it's Koopmeiners or Koopmeiners. I was watching one of the World Cups, obviously, on at the moment. Lukaku scores his second goal, by the way. I was watching the World Cup, and he came on as a sub in one of the games, and I have to say, I'm starting to doubt whether I've been saying Koopmeiners correctly. I think it might be Koopmeiners. I prefer Koopmeiners, but Apologies if I've been getting that wrong. I've been saying it for a long time like that. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, the language is Dutch, isn't it? So, Coop Miners actually might be accurate. I don't know. Either way, he's been really good for us as the captain. He's been absolutely superb. Although in the last few games, he's been a bit sloppy in possession. He's not having the best game here at the moment. So, we might end up, after I've just bigged him up, having to take him off for N'Golo Kante, who, by the way, he's concerned with his playing time still, but he is playing more games and he is playing well. Unfortunately, he was playing a lot of games as a box-to-box midfielder. Lukaku goes for the audacious chip and it just hits the crossbar. He was playing a lot of games in the box-to-box midfield role, which obviously Jude Bellingham is now playing in. So he was happy because he was playing a lot more football, and now he's not playing as much football. So I'm imagining he's going to be unhappy again at some point. But we lead 2-0, and that's the main thing. So we're just going to praise everyone, and we're just going to carry on. There's no point worrying about the formation or anything like that when what we're currently doing is working. Bastoni and Reece James not having the best of games, by the way. I say that. Bastoni's just picked up, actually. Right, Mount with the corner, looking for Lukaku, can't get to him. And Marco Verratti now looking to lead a counter-attack. We're going to see whether he can get past Chilwell. He can't, but he does retain possession there. But Mason Mount mugs him of the ball. And all of a sudden, we have possession again. And we might look to go again here. Mount to Memphis Depay. Depay to Lukaku. Depay, by the way, has properly impressed me on that wing, actually. He's obviously not got the same output as last season. I think last season was a massive, not fluke necessarily, but just it was an outlier. Like, that is not what he should have been doing. That's not the rate he should have been scoring. He just had the perfect season. And any other season, he'd won the Golden Boot. This season, he is looking like the player I think he absolutely is. He's been scoring goals, getting assists from that left-hand side. He's covered in the forward line every now and then. In particular, Brozovic might be off here, you know. Brozovic might be off. That was a bit of a naughty tackle. And until the referee started to run towards him, I didn't think too much of it. But it is a red card. We're 2-0 up, 4-1 on aggregate. And we have a man advantage. Glorious. That'll do. That'll do plenty. I've forgotten the point I was going to make, actually. That's how shocked I am by that decision, or how happy I am by it. Probably was just talking about how... Oh, yeah, Memphis Depay. He has genuinely impressed me on that wing, actually. If we stop for a moment, actually, and have a quick nose at him and have a look at his stats for this season, let's have a look at that. I feel like we can stop in this game. I mean, this episode's going to be long enough as it is, but we can see his goal scoring is nowhere near, but his assists are about the same. His rating is nowhere near as high as well, because, again, he had a freak of a season last year. But that is a very respectable season. 13 goals and 5 assists from 22 appearances. Bear in mind, he's only started 15 games, so he's not far off a goal to start. He's had a very good time of it. And again, he's covered in the striking position very well when we've needed him to, which is obviously really handy. We are going to make some changes here. We're going to give Lorenzo a chance. As long as... Do you know what? Here's what I'm going to do with Lorenzo. Let's just ease off tackles. We don't want him being stupid. We do not want him being stupid. Does he dive? He dives into tackles. How have I only just realised he dives into tackles? That might have something to do with the red cards he's had. Goodness me. We're also going to bring Coppola on, actually. Give him some football in a big Champions League game. Because he is a very decent young player. We'll give him the chance. Lukaku I'm going to keep on because I'd like to see him get a hat-trick. I am also going to take Depay off, though. We'll give him a rest. And we're going to bring on Ferran Torres. He's not really recovered properly since having an injury. So we'll make those changes to begin with and we'll carry on. We did lose Marcus Leonardo in January because he went on international duty for the Brazil. I'm going to assume it was doing the 21s. I'm not 100% sure. And because of that, Depay obviously had to step up and be a striker more. But Leonardo has had a decent season. He's not been an absolute rocket of a goal scorer, but he has scored goals. And that's comforting for a young player like that he has got goals in a lot of the good competitions. In Premier League, he scored in some of the cup competitions, I think, as well. I don't know if he scored in the Champions League at all. Ferran Torres, by the way, should be putting that in the back of the net and absolutely does not, which is incredibly disappointing. We are approaching the final 10 minutes. Let's make those final 2 changes. I do think, even though he's on a hat-trick, we're going to take Lukaku off for Leonardo, give Leonardo some football. Again, Leonardo scored 2 league goals. He scored a couple more in other competitions, I think, as well. I recall him scoring more than that. We're going to take Coop Miners off for N'Golo Kante, give Kante some football, and that will do us for the substitutions. Let's just see out the game, shall we? Because we have been very professional in this game. We've taken on a very, very good team. And yes, they had a man sent off, but we were 2-0 ahead before that. They've gone very defensive in the last part of the game, which has meant it's been difficult for us to break them down. But we've done the job, and we have got the win, and we are through to the next round. That is how you handle a 2-legged tie indeed. Very happy with that. Now, I don't know whether we've had any kind of draw yet. I don't know whether we have. Can we see when the draw is going to be? Oh, it's over on the 22nd. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead until we get to the 22nd. And when we get to the 22nd, we'll have a look at the draw and see who we're going to play. And then what I'll do is I'm going to play the first leg, and then we'll come back for the second leg, and we'll see how it is. Just to remind ourselves of the teams who are still in the Champions League, we have a look at this draw here. So we know that Real Madrid are through. We also know Borussia Dortmund are through, as are Porto. So Monaco ended up getting knocked out. So the final ties are Man City against Villarreal. Man City lead 2-0 at the moment. I think that's Napoli leading Liverpool 2-0. That's ridiculous. Roma losing to Bayern Munich 2-1. And PSG beating AC Milan 2-0. So let's accelerate forward. Let's get to the draw. And let's see who we have in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. Champions League draw time. We have played a game in the Premier League since then as well, since the last game. We've played against Brentford, beat them 3-0. Again, 4-3-3. Really ineffective. We had to change kind of formations. I mean, it says there we changed to a 4-3-3 in the 33rd minute. We didn't do that. We stayed with the diamond, so I don't really understand what that's all about. But once we changed, we did get more into it. Scored goals, aplenty. Happy days. But Champions League draw. Do we skip? I'm tempted to just skip the draw. Just make it a bit quicker. Yeah, do you know what? We're going to skip the draw. And let's see who we've got, shall we? Paris Saint-Germain. Okay, if we're going to win it, we're going to do it playing the big teams. Right, semi-final draw. Real Madrid or Man City. Okay, right, okay. We're doing it the hard way if we're going to do it. Okay, so that game against Paris Saint-Germain. The first game is going to be in a couple of games' time, and then we've got a game against Wolves, and then we're back in the Champions League against PSG. So I am going to go and play the games against Wolves, the game against Bournemouth, the game against PSG, the first leg, and the next game against Wolves. And then we'll be back for the second leg of the PSG game, and we'll see whether we can get through to the next round in the Champions League. Hopefully we can, otherwise this season's kind of been a bit of a waste of time. I'm fairly confident I've settled on a tactic, because the tactic that we've used in recent games does seem to be doing the trick. So since you were last with us properly at the second Inter game, we have beat Brentford, we have beat Wolves, we have beat Bournemouth, we've beat Wolves again, but the most important one, we beat Paris Saint-Germain in that first leg, and we beat them using what they're calling down here, a 4-2-3-1 defensive midfielder wing back. I mean, you could call it that. It's a bit of a Christmas tree in a way. It's almost like a 4-3-2-1 in a way. You've got the four defenders with the two advanced wing backs. You've got the holding midfielder with the three in the middle, with the other two guys in the middle, sorry. So it's a three in the middle. And then it's the two attacking midfielders with the one up front. You could also say that Koopmeiners acts as a bit of a third centre-back at times as well, being in that half-back role. So it's almost like a 3 or a 5 with a 2 and then another 2 and a 1. It's a weird formation in a way, but it has been very effective, as you saw in that schedule. And that leads us to the game against PSG in the second leg. We are away from home this time, so we do need to be a bit more careful. We also need to bear in mind they've got two of our former players in Kai Havertz and Mateo Kovacic, so that could come back to bite us. It nearly did in the first leg. But this is the 11 we're going to be using for the game. It's Edouard Mendy in goal. Milenkovic and Bastoni as the central defence, with James, Koopmeiners and Chilwell with that line just ahead of that centre-back pairing. Catalan and Bellingham in the middle, with Asensio and Memphis Depay supporting Lukaku up front. We are missing Mason Mount from this game. He is injured for just over a week, I think. Gash leg. I mean, I've said this before. I've had a gash leg at school and I've started to do cross-country, so yeah, a bit annoying. But Ferran Torres also with a gash leg, out for 3 to 5 days. So one option out, as well as Mason Mount, which is a bit frustrating. So we're going in with just the 11 substitutes. I say just the 11, that's more than enough. But we're going to go in and we'll see whether this is going to be enough. 4-2 from the first leg. Romelu Lukaku, from what I can remember, doing really well. I feel like we had at least one goal disallowed in the first leg as well. I say at least because I've got a feeling it was more than one as well. I've literally not long played it, so I should remember. But we are coming up against a very dangerous team in Paris Saint-Germain now, playing 5 at the back. Declan Rice and Kovacic as the midfield pairing. And as you can see, Kai Havertz there supporting Kylian Mbappe. Goodness me. Supporting Kylian Mbappe along with Lionel Messi. And it is a bit like a 4-3-3 actually when you look at it on the Champions League map there. But let's just get into the game. And let's see what happens. Let's see if we can push Paris Saint-Germain and get through to the semi-finals. And Romelu Lukaku wants to be in that semi-final. It's a 36th goal of the season. It's a first goal in the second minute. And my word, do we want this. And my word, has this formation transformed our attack. It's also, I don't know whether it's a fact of if you attack more than the other team has less time to attack, therefore your defense is better. But it does feel like a lot of the time, touch wood, our defenses seem to improve as well. But I do think it's because we're occupying our opponents a lot more. Whereas in the 4-3-3, it felt like we were inviting a lot more pressure. A lot of the tactical stuff is exactly the same. It's just the shape. And it feels like the shape is definitely helping. And Romelu Lukaku is up for this one. That is a second attempt in very close proximity. Koopmans did have that very dangerous free kick as well. And Lukaku looking for a second there. But Asensio's going to whip it in again. He's going to look for the head of Lukaku again. Doesn't find him. And Kai Havertz clears it out only as far as Ben Chilwell, his former Chelsea teammate. And we go again. Bellingham, who's just come out from injury. I would probably ideally would have considered having him on the bench for today. I might have started him. I don't know. He did play very well in the last game, to be fair. I would have considered benching him purely because he's only just come back from injury. And I might have considered this a bit too soon to start him. However, did play well in the last game. And we don't really have many other options. Conor Gallagher would have been a good option. And we saw last season, and also in parts this season, every time we've needed to kind of rely on Conor Gallagher, he's never really properly let us down. But, I don't know. Conor Gallagher or Jude Bellingham, who do you pick? I think everyone's answer to that would probably be the same. Right, Declan Rice comes into the box on the edge of the area, but Jude Bellingham does give possession away there after I've just talked him up a little bit, and he goes and makes a mistake, but we don't end up suffering because of it. 10 minutes gone in this game. We do have a corner from a highlight there, and Kai Havertz trying to get a counter-attack going, but doesn't get it very far. Bellingham now looking for options. He's going out wide here, Jude. He's on a box-to-box instruction, not Mazzala instruction, but his cross is only found by Donnarumma. Really, we want him running into the box, not running out wide. So that wasn't ideal, if I'm being honest. Asensio today playing as a playmaker. I didn't point that out earlier. Whenever Charles de Ketelaere is playing as an attacking midfielder, we have him playing as an advanced playmaker, and he does well there. We're playing Asensio in that role today, rather than as attacking midfielder, because Asensio has been superb for us in this entire save. Not really found his place in the system yet. Well, we know his place. His place is one of those two attacking midfielders. And he can do attacking midfield very, very well. But he's not quite hit the same form as he has as an inverted winger out on that right-hand side. I mean, he's been superb in that position. And Kylian Mbappe has potentially made it 1-1. We're going to wait and see whether the offside is given. We still maintain a 2-goal advantage if this is given overall in the tie, but it would be nice if it's disallowed. I don't think it's going to be. No, it's not. At the end of the day, they're taking it to the centre circle. It's not going to get disallowed there, is it? And Kylian Mbappe, very similar to how he did in the first leg, equalises and makes it 1-1. We're just going to encourage the boys because we've had a very good start here. We are away from home. We do need to remember that. We're in their home turf. We've just let Kai Havertz go through there. And that was awful. Reece James has just cost us a goal there. And he's had a good game up until that point. I blame this entirely on Reece James. Kimpembe flicks it over. Actually, I don't blame it on Reece James at all. I blame it on Milenkovic. What is Milenkovic doing? Demand more from him. And all of a sudden we're behind and we only have a 1-goal advantage now. And we might need to have a rethink about our tactics here because we are so attacking. And like I said before, maybe because we're so attacking... Oh, my word. What is Mendy doing? Mendy has just gone and done that. I need to watch that again. This is comical. Milenkovic steps... No one goes into him. Milenkovic is the one with the deflection. And, oh, my word, that's awful. Absolutely atrocious from all of them. I can't say anything because I've just done that. Ben Chilwell's having a shocker as well. We have fallen behind here. I'm going to berate the team and try and shock them in. We are currently level. We won 4-2 in the first leg, and we're now behind. Sergio Ramos makes it 4-1. We've absolutely capitulated in this first half here. Well, we've got to go attacking because we need to get a goal. Well, and Asensio's having a shocker as well. We are going to have to make some serious changes at half-time. And we might even not wait until half-time. We might make them now. I mean, Mendy didn't even move. Right. Changes are happening now. Right. Mendy's off. Vilo's on. Chilwell's off. Cucurella's on. Asensio and Ketelare are swapping around, and we're going to bring Conor Gallagher. No, we're not even going to bring Conor Gallagher on. We're going to bring on N'Golo Kante and swap him and Bellingham around. And Ketelare can play there as the playmaker. And I'm taking Milenkovic off as well. Fofana can come on. 4 changes before half-time. I'm not changing the shape just yet, because this shape has been good for us. It was good for us in the first leg as well. We know we've got goals in this team with this shape. I am going in on the defence. I'm not happy with the playmaking. And do better. Demand more. And we go again. We go again. Been humiliated in that first half. And we've given away a penalty. Bastoni has gone and given a penalty away. He's gone and made a huge mistake there. It's going to be given. And now it's down to Bilo. Bastoni, who's been an absolute rock for us in recent times, gives away a penalty. Kylian Mbappe. And it was always going to happen. We now need to score twice. What do we do? What do we do? I feel like the fullbacks have to drop back. Or do we go a bit more defensive in the midfield? Put Bellingham. Do we do this maybe? Very defensive here. But then it's attacking 4. I think we're going to try that. Wow, this has deflated me a little bit. After that first leg, after the run of form we've been on, we're just not... our head's not there anymore. We're just giving the ball away left, right and centre. Right, Bastoni. Got 1 change left. I don't really want to make it yet. I want to give us a bit of time just in case we need it. I don't really want to use it another defensive one, to be honest. I've just missed Charles de Catalan nearly score there because I'm convinced our formation has messed up on here. Right, it's changed. There we go. That's fine. It hadn't changed. It's just updated. Right. Fire up. Come on, boys. Come on. Big ball out. No one's challenging it. Right, Fofana. Needs to find someone. Gets to Bastoni. Bastoni. Start the recovery. Gets to Kante. Kante now. With energy. To Cucurella. Cucurella looking for Lukaku. Lukaku's in. He's been pulled down by Declan Rice. It's a penalty. We've got to root back into this game. We're aiming for 5-3 to get this to extra time. Penalty. And it's going to be... I think that's Koopmeiners. Mason Mount is our normal penalty taker. Koopmeiners is number 2. And Koopmeiners makes it 5-2 on the night. It's 7-6 on aggregate. We turned things around against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup final. We turned things around there. They demand more from the boys. There is a chance, though, for Paris Saint-Germain. Ketelare has had a shocking game, by the way. Which is a shame, because he's been so good for us in recent times. He could have tackled Declan Rice there, and he didn't, but Declan Rice's shot goes wild right. Jude Bellingham is dead on his feet, but I don't want to change him. I don't want to take Bastoni off as well, because Bastoni is a change I want to make if we get to extra time. But we need to get there, that's the problem. Right, De Ketelaere's been awful. I think it's going to have to be... We're going to put Depay there as a shadow striker. And De Ketelaere is going to have to come off. And I don't really know. I don't really know what to do here, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know what to do. Pulisic is the one screaming out at me. And he has got a good game in him. Some early crosses in there as well. Lukaku's got a bit of pace. Right, let's do it. Last few minutes. Need 1 goal. 1 goal. 3 minutes of injury time. We have a free kick. Koopmina's looking for Bastoni. And Bastoni had the moment. Moment for redemption for him. And we're out. We're out at the quarterfinals. And that's absolutely gutting. Kylian Mbappe ripped us apart in that first half. We lose 5-2 on the night after winning 4-2 on the first game. We don't deserve that. I mean, our XG would suggest we do. Not to that extent, though. That was appalling. I'm throwing the water bottle. That was appalling. We should not be giving that up. We should not be giving up a 2-goal deficit like that. We certainly shouldn't be losing 5-2 on the night. Distraught at that. And the problem is now the board aren't going to be very happy because the board wanted us to get further than that. They wanted us to challenge for it. And that was non-negotiable. It's going to be very interesting to see how the board accept that. But why is that still there? Let me just... There we go. Get rid of that. Well, the rest of the save was all about Champions League, and we're out of it. And I feel really hard done by on that result. I really do. So what do we do now? What do we do now? Well, we've got, that's 6 Premier League games left. We've got the FA Cup semi-final. So I'll tell you what. I'm going to play the FA Cup semi-final. I'm going to play ahead. And we might come out for the final game of the season against Leeds just so we do a game. And then we'll do a series and season roundup. If we get through to the FA Cup final, I might show you that. I'll see how I feel. But right now, I feel very deflated at how that has just happened. Again, we absolutely outplayed them in the home game. And then we've just been utterly ripped apart in that game. And I do feel very hard done by about it. Very hard done by indeed. But that is football. That is Football Manager. Every now and then it does like to kick you right where you don't want to be kicked. But we'll come back for the next episode, the final episode of this save, either against Leeds United in the final league game of the season, or if we get through past Manchester United into an FA Cup final. Hopefully that'll make me feel a bit better. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed today's video, please do leave a like on there for me and subscribe so you never miss any lovely Football Manager content that's to come in the future. I've been Stu. You guys have been awesome. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.